This happened a long time ago, back in 1991, when I was living in Fresno, California. I had a regular job at a gas station, nothing fancy, just a typical place. But something strange was going on with this guy who came there every day. He was young and good-looking, but there was something eerie about him. He always showed up when no one else was around, and it felt like I was the only one who could see him. Even on warm summer nights, a cold breeze followed him inside the store every time he came through the front door. As days went by, we started talking and eventually began dating. But what really bothered me was that he refused to be seen by anyone else, not even my friends or family. There were no cameras inside our gas station back then, so no one else could catch a glimpse of him. We could only spend time together after I finished work, and this strange relationship continued. Now, my dad was a shaman, and one night, I went to work with a string on my wrist from a recent family ceremony. But my boyfriend didn't like it at all. He told me to cut it off, and without really understanding why, I did as he said. Our love grew, but there was something odd about our intimacy. Whenever we slept together in the car or a hotel, it felt like I was experiencing sleep paralysis, unable to move or speak. After 2 years, I couldn't stand the secrecy anymore. I was tired of having a boyfriend who was always hiding from everyone in my life. I left a note to my coworker to give it to my boyfriend if he ever show up to give it to him that we breaking up. So, I decided to quit my job and go back to school. When I saw my coworker and asked if he ever came in the store and get the note I left him, my coworker replied that she never saw anyone of my description came in, but somehow the note was just gone in thin air. She said that one night something odd occurred. The gas station door would suddenly slam open and then close by itself. It happened during the summer when there was no wind. Then, one night, I had a terrible dream. My ex-boyfriend appeared, but his face was all rotten and creepy. He demanded that I throw away all of my dad's ritual stuff so he could be with me. I woke up terrified, covered in sweat, unable to shake off the feeling of dread. But things got worse. One night, I heard rocks and sand hitting my window. When I looked out, my heart sank. It was my ex-boyfriend, dressed in traditional Hmong clothes, staring at me from the sidewalk. I quickly hid under my blanket, crying, not knowing what to do. Finally, I mustered up the courage to tell my parents about everything. They were worried and performed a powerful ritual ceremony to protect me. They even changed my name, hoping it would keep me safe from his creepy influence. Since that night, I haven't seen or dreamt of him again. But the chilling experience still haunts me to this very day. It was like a nightmare that I couldn't escape, but I'm grateful that my parents' ritual helped me break free from that terrifying relationship. Back in 1971, when I was still living in Laos, I met the most beautiful young woman you will ever see. But somehow, I always have a feeling that she is not the one. The reason they moved away from their old village was because a group of gang members raped her and had a kid. So her parents couldn't hide their faces from the village and decided to move. I treated her as a dear friend, even though I knew she was completely in love with me. She thought my dad knew this, so she figured he thought she was disgusting, but my dad didn't know, and I told her it wasn't her fault and I wasn't disgusted. I continued to be a good friend to her for a long time, until I met and married my wife. She was so heartbroken, but she blessed my marriage by saying that no matter how many years go by, she'll always love me. When I and my wife had our second child, she knew that I wasn't coming back, so she ate some poison and died. I went to her funeral, and she doesn't look so happy. Her face looks sad and emotional. I didn't think much of it, as I thought she had finally gone to a better place, until one day I saw her again. The first time was when I walked by her house to go to the farm. She was standing by her house, smiling at me like she used to. I thought I had probably imagined it. The second time, I saw her walking down the road. Soon, she started showing up in the bushes near my house, just smiling, just like a real person stalking me. Even though she couldn't come near my house, she would smile beautifully, like she always had. She came to my uncle's dreams, where he was a shaman, and begged for my uncle to remove all the ritual that is in my house so she could come stay with me inside. She said she just couldn't leave because she loved me so much. As long as she can see me, she's satisfied. So every day from then on, I saw her. She was always in the bushes near my house, peeking her face out and hiding. She will still be wearing the exact same clothes when they bury her. We sought help from many shamans and did ritual, but it didn't seem to help. Since she wasn't exactly doing any harm, they gave up and allowed her to haunt me. She came to my mother's dream and told her that she was in love with me even before I started my new life. My mother begged her to leave me alone, but she said she would never hurt me and only wanted to see me. It was around 1974 or 1975 by now, and the war broke out, and we had to run away from the village. I thought that I wouldn't be haunted by her anymore, but to my dismay, she followed me. At first, she kept her distance, but eventually she walked behind me, and when I turned to look, there was nothing. One night, I had a dream that the reason she followed me was because she wanted to protect us through our dangerous journey, and would let me go as soon as I got to safety. The last time I saw her was when we crossed a big river to start our new life. I saw her still on the other side, crying, while we were on a little wooden boat. One night, I had a dream that she was still on the other side of the river, crying as she looked on. I told her that I was not running away from her because of the war. We have to leave for another country, so my family will be safe. She then told me that she could not protect me anymore, and that I should take care of myself. She moves on and prays that she may get the chance to love me in the next lifetime. I saw her turn around and disappear into the dark forest. I haven't seen her since. I was overwhelmed with guilt over the matter. While she was alive, I believed I could harbor genuine love for her, but deep down, I knew it would be a deception to both her and myself. Even now, whenever she crosses my mind, I question whether my choice was the right one. When I was 16 years old, our little farm held many great memories for me. It was a place where my family and I would often spend time together, tending to the crops and enjoying the peaceful countryside. However, one particular evening changed everything. My mom had a sudden craving for fresh vegetables, and even though it was getting late, she was determined to visit the farm. My dad was busy that night, so she asked me to accompany her. She didn't want to be alone on the farm as darkness set in. The farm was not too far from our home. It was just about a 15-minute drive through a dirt road in the woods that led to another farm owned by an old couple. We arrived at the farm as the sun was beginning to set. I helped my mom pick vegetables for a while before realizing I needed a gardening tool from the car. As I walked over to the car, I caught a glimpse of a black figure moving between the corn rows. I turned my head for a closer look, but the figure seemed to vanish. I assumed it was just an animal and thought nothing more of it. However, as I went closer to grab the gardening tool, I heard a strange rustling sound. It wasn't the wind, it was the leaves of a single corn plant moving by themselves, while the rest of the cornfield stood still. Fear gripped me, and I ran back to my mom to tell her what I had witnessed. To my surprise, she brushed it off as nothing. The evening had darkened by this point, and we knew we had little time left to pick our vegetables. We hurriedly gathered what we needed and packed up our stuff. As we drove along the dark dirt road, a rock hit the passenger side of our car, where I was sitting, causing us to jump in fright. I peered out of the window and noticed two little girls playing with each other. Their hair was long and covered most of their faces. I wondered why their parents would allow them to play outside so late. My mom remained silent, her face filled with concern. Finally, as we reached the freeway, my mom spoke up. She revealed that on our way to the farm, she had seen a little girl standing with her back to the dirt road near the bushes. At the time, she assumed it was one of the landowner's children playing near the woods. But when I mentioned the black figure in the corn rows, my mom realized that the little girl she saw might not have been a human being. It suddenly made sense that the landowners didn't have any children. The realization sent chills down our spines, and we decided right then that we would not visit the farm in the evening anymore. The strange occurrences and the eerie encounter with the ghostly figure made us wary of venturing into the farm after dark. From that day forward, we stuck to visiting the farm during daylight hours only. Our peaceful farm had an unexplained aura that we couldn't ignore, and the memories of that spooky evening remained etched in our minds forever. Nonetheless, our love for the farm and its bounty remained, and we continued to cherish the precious moments we spent there as a family. When I turned 17, my family moved to a new house. It was an exciting time, and being the older brother, I was given my own room downstairs, while my younger siblings had to share rooms upstairs. It seemed like a fair arrangement, but little did I know that it would lead to some eerie experiences. Their room was right above mine, and the ceiling seemed to carry every sound they made. One night, it was around midnight, and my parents were already fast asleep. I was on my phone, just minding my own business, when suddenly I heard my brother giggling and tiptoeing down the stairs, trying to be quiet. They were whispering to each other about sneaking into the fridge to get some snacks, and then I heard the TV turning on. Initially, I didn't think much of it, assuming they just wanted to watch a movie or something. But as the volume got a bit loud, I politely asked them to turn it down. To my surprise, they responded in a creepy low voice, mumbling, and the volume decreased. After about 5 minutes, the TV volume went up again, and I called out to them, kindly asking them to lower it once more. They complied again. But as the night wore on and it got closer to midnight, the TV suddenly became unbearably loud again. Suddenly, I heard them playing with the pots and pans in the kitchen and giggling. Annoyed by the continuous noise, I decided to put my phone down and go investigate the situation. I left my room and walked to the living room, fully expecting to find my siblings there, enjoying their late-night show. But to my astonishment, the TV was off and there was no one in the living room. I was perplexed and felt a little uneasy. I climbed the stairs and entered my siblings' room, only to find them fast asleep, completely oblivious to the loud noise that had been coming from downstairs. Since that eerie night, I've been struggling to sleep properly. The mysterious occurrence left me with an uneasy feeling, and I couldn't shake off the thought of what I had heard and experienced. I tried to brush it off as my imagination playing tricks on me, but deep down, I couldn't help but wonder if something strange was going on in our new house.